What are you doing?
Do you ever want to rule? Lead a nation to either glory or ruin through your own actions, the fate of millions a single click away?
That's kind of a weird thing to want to do.
No, not like that. Here, let me show you. It's a sort of Christmas tradition I have. Do a big, just play through them all. It's just relaxing. Here, I love this one.
What is it?
Crusader Kings 3. A lot of times, one looks at medieval history with all its conflict, petty infighting, and other things, and wonders, how could they do all this, committing all this cruelty and death and other things? Well, playing Crusader Kings 3 will teach you that those people were being a bit restrained, and you will surpass even the worst of their crimes very, very quickly. From the chieftain in the middle of ass nowhere, to the Emperor of Rome, to the fabulously wealthy kings in West Africa, to even the damn Vikings, you and you alone will be the arbiter of whether to execute your mom or your sister for having an affair with each other.
Execute both of them! The piety and the dread is worth the reputation lost 10 times over!
However, the game doesn't look like this. The game looks like this. So, what is your aim? Securing your dynasty by having heirs. And now for things you will say when playing Crusader Kings. I killed a lot of people, most of them children. Man, I wish you could just off your kids. 8 is probably a manageable number of lovers. I'm gonna push it to 9 to get into the double digits. The best sword is a dagger in the back of a close relative. See, if I marry my sister, I can get a buff to stewardship. God damn it, I misclicked and slept with my son. I can't wait to have a heart attack and die. I have captured a Serbian and will now force him to do my accounting. I murdered someone. Quick, pet the cat. Oh, my brother had his head ripped off? Awesome! Your heirs inherit your stuff, the most important one being your primary heir. Disinheriting works most of the time, but if you die suddenly, you might have to perform some extreme late-term abortions on your younger siblings. Which brings me to schemes in actually ruling your realm. Unless you're a count with a very specific religion and culture, you're going to have vassals under you ruling in your name. You can murder, abduct, romance, seduce, befriend, and steal stuff from them, but they can also do this to you and each other. The more people directly under you, the more people want to murder, abduct, romance, etc., to you and your family. They can also rise up against your rule to demand things from you, from independence to conversion to lower taxes to just deleting your realm entirely. These can be an absolute pain in the ass, but quick tip, if there's a vassal you can't ally with, you can give the title above them to someone else who's weaker, and they cannot rise up against you. This oftentimes leads to disaster, but it's not a disaster you have to worry about. Religion is an incredibly cool aspect to this game. Every character has, or at least says they have, a religion. And the cool thing is, you can pull a Henry VIII and split off your own religion from an existing one. That's right, random Buddhist monk. Forget that noble eightfold path, the only yoga you'll be doing is sword-related, so off to the army you go, and if you say heresy like, this is exactly what Siddhartha would have worked against, I'll split your head open like a goddamn watermelon, so tut-tut, the Gakars won't slaughter themselves in my name.
Could we talk about something other than murder?
Of course.
Not that.
Fine, let's talk about the music. This game's music is genuinely incredible. It gives off true feelings of power and influence. The music was made with traditional instruments from the time combined with a bombastic and awe-inspiring orchestra that gives off the feeling of being someone truly powerful, whose word is law and all respect and praise is a true legend among them. This music does not play in-game. Most of the time you'll be hearing stuff like this. Sort of fine, I guess, but not anything you'd ever really remember. If you play in any of the other regions, you might get something more unique. It's good, but it's no solid and besieges Jerusalem from Crusader Kings 2. However, mods like these can definitely help, so sometimes when you're managing title succession or whatever, this will happen.
Oh, Stamoris, I wasn't expecting. How goes the planning for our next campaign?
Which brings me to warfare. Since ruling a single county is boring, you should expand your definitely benevolent rule across the world. Once you've gotten a reason for war, whether that be acclaim, crushing the infidels, or through your big dick Chad energy, or prestige if you're boring and have real life friends, you raise your armies and send them to die in your name. Your armies are composed of random crap peasants and professional men-at-arms. They have tons of different stats and numbers and counters that I don't really want or need to get into right now. Just know that archers probably won't work well against heavy knights, and that camel riders probably aren't most effective in the highlands of Norway. There are 2 starting dates. 1066 is the one where things are generally pretty stable and the cool stuff comes relatively quickly and you can focus on role-playing and realm building in a nice, comfortable time. Like the 1200s! 867 is a start date that will give you personal grudges against people who have been dead for over 1,000 years. It is an absolute chaotic nightmare of Norse invasions, collapsing empires, and constantly being bullied by the AI. It's chaotic, brutal, frustrating, and absolutely incredible. There are cool characters in both starts, but my favorites are Count Highstein of Montague, Mr. Ruins and Alpha the Great campaign with 3,000 event troops he has for some reason, Charles the Bald, who can conquer half of Western Europe in less than a decade but has the slight problem of being murdered every 5 seconds, and the Lodbrok brothers, who are cool for these reasons. 1066 standouts include Harald Hardrada, the coolest person to ever live, and Smabat, who's notable for being the worst character in the game. Achievements in CK3 range from impossible to not get to surprisingly easy to nearly impossible to why is this an achievement to actually impossible because Paradox forgot to update them. The most difficult achievements are... I think I'm gonna call someone.
Hey, what's up?
Hey Kara, could you describe the process of getting the Mother of Us All achievement, where, as a single count in the middle of Africa, you have to conquer the entire continent and convert it all to your religion? Thanks, Kara!
What was that?
Descriptive! However, some of these require DLC. In fact, a lot of them do. This game, like all Paradox games, has DLC. There are currently 4, one of which just came out. Northern Lords is the Viking pack, which adds some nice music, cool dynasty legacies, unique mechanics such as runestone raising and Varangian adventures, and some new empires to form and decisions. Good DLC, wait for sale. Royal Court adds your Royal Court. You can hold court and then get screwed over by RNG most of the time. You can collect and display artifacts that give neat bonuses, but the main draw is culture. You can now create, form, and mix cultures like religions, with prestige being your resource for doing so. Some of these traditions suck, while others are utterly broken. It's a perfect match. Good DLC, wait for sale, if they ever do one. Fate of Iberia is the pack that adds the struggle for Iberia, where Muslims, Christians, and whoever else duke it out for dominance of the peninsula. The 3 endings, the good one, the medium one, and the canon bad one, are all achieved through different means and dynamic events. This DLC is easily the best for the game so far. You can play chess, make friends, abuse mechanics, it's all up to you. Fantastic DLC, worth it at full price. Lastly, we have Friends and Foes, a DLC which adds over 100 events! And some rival friend mechanics that make it easier to murder you, as well as make factions stronger and peasant rebellions more annoying. It's $5 you can pay to make the game worse. Do not get this! There are free mods that add far more events and flavor. Overall, Crusader Kings 3 is fantastic, even without DLC, but it's not for everyone. While certainly lacking quite as much depth as Crusader Kings 2, I highly recommend it. You can go from a count to an emperor, maybe in a single lifetime even. Your vassals might hate you, one might be on the brink of disaster for years at a time, but that makes succeeding all the more satisfying. War, grit, determination, and a little selective breeding go a long way in building a kingdom to last the ages, your dynasty name forever etched into the history books as a monument to the human spirit. A legendary legacy to last the ages, leaving an eternal mark, that even if your dynasty falls, your kingdom shatters, a mark that says the immortal words, I was here.
Okay, what's next?
Well, as for next... Put on your floppy hats, sidearms, and chest plates, we're going to Brazil!
Oh god, no.